Banya, my brother Ben Gideon, members of parliament present here, my dear graduates and new admitted students into different programs of the University of Juba. I greet you all in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. I am personally flattered, but actually so much happy with all the introduction that many of the speakers before me gave, and particularly the short bio note which my brother Gideon gave. I would wish to have been more of that, and it is on a special note to say that I would have wished to have accomplished more than that if some of us were born and grew up in normal circumstances, not like the kind of circumstances that some of us were born in during the Nyanya War, and at the peak of our youth, we were interrupted by the Civil War. And yet, in between all those crises, we did not disappoint. We continued to fight the war, but at the same time, did not give up on acquiring knowledge. And so, a people of special circumstances like myself, and you have heard Dr. Labanya talking about her own experience, Honorable Bolagao and Ben Gideon, the products of what we call the under 3 schools of the SPLM days, Dirkwe is here, and all of them have gone to those heights. Then what can the children of independent South Sudan achieve? This is a very big challenge to all of you, that before you, people have turned adverse conditions into a kind of opportunity. It might not be the best. Maybe some of them would have been astrologists, some of them would have been the best surgeons, the best mathematicians, the best technologists. But because of war, they couldn't reach there, but yet they did something to prove that this country is endowed with talents. Now, let's address the theme of this important gathering tonight, and which is education for better society. The essence of learning is to change life, is to improve and enhance the conditions of humankind. That is the key reason why we go to school. You go to the Bible, you would find that our purpose as humans on earth is to multiply and fill the surface of the earth. But that is just an abstract meaning of why we should be here. Because if we don't produce food, if we don't fight diseases, if we don't fight epidemics, and if we don't protect ourselves from natural calamities like bad weather, like earthquake, if we do not have that capacity, how can we fill the earth? We can't. We will perish. So, in abstract terms, God the Almighty sent us here to fill the earth, but then there are deeper meanings underpinning this very idea of filling the earth. We must have capacity to live with the germs. That's why we have medical schools, because germs are part of us. There will be never a time where humans will be on earth without battling it out with diseases. And so to battle it out with diseases, it must start from upstairs. We must be sharp up here to fight hunger and to produce food, and even to stay up to this hour in the night, still able to see ourselves because of light and electricity. We need education. So education is the mainstay of our existence as humans. And all the investment we have to do as a country should be geared towards creating viable human capital. Because we as humans, for those who have studied economics, if you're talking of factors of production, it is land and you, number one. This piece of land, and then you, your labor, your mind, that will come with technology and innovation. This is the whole thing. So if you neglect human factor, your human resources, you don't develop people, you cannot progress. You cannot even till the land. What God our Father told our father Adam to go and till the land. Will you continue to dig with tools from the Stone Age? No. We must learn. But even to survive against other threats, because humans do compete for a lot of things, okay? We compete for a space as human beings, and we compete for food, and we compete for advantage. And you were here and you have been complaining as young people that your jobs have been taken away. It is because of competition. And that competition can actually get nastier. It can be nasty. And when competition gets nasty, we get something called war. So even with our neighbors, you know, when arable land becomes small, we will enter into competition. Why our borders are being eaten up? Do you think, is it just because people want to have a large expanse of land? No, it's because populations are exploding in some countries around us. You get a small country, I don't want to name it, geographically small in size, but densely populated, 40 million people. Where are they going to go? They will eat up our preference. That is given. It is competition. Another neighbor is growing in population to maybe 100 and maybe 150, and they don't have water. Where are they going to live? We like it or not, they will occupy your wetlands. That's competition. What does it bring at the end of the day? Conflict. And you can avoid that. How do you prevent that? You prepare. You prepare through education so that you are not an underdog in this difficult world of competition. And this brings me to something very specific which I want to convey about technology. I read an op-ed in Arabic a few days ago. It was in Sharq al-Awsat, Jaridat Sharq al-Awsat, for those who have good knowledge of Arabic language. And this expert was giving analysis about the latest war between Iran and Israel. And he put it this way: هذا ليس حرب جنرالات. This is not a war of generals. بل حرب المبرمجين. This is the war of programmers. You get it now? This is not the war of generals. This is the war of programmers. The people that Dr. Labanya was talking about a while ago, you know, artificial intelligence and all those kind of things. War of programmers, I have not seen something like that in my entire military life. Back in the days when we were still children in the primary school, a big war broke out between Israel and Arabs in 1973. I can't remember the first war in 1967. I was very little. But in 1973, when the Sinai War broke out, it went on only for 6 days. Armies were annihilated, tanks were destroyed, airplanes were shot down, but the casualties in leadership, like what we saw recently in Iran, never happened. If my memory serves me well, maybe there was one brigadier general on the Israeli side, and maybe like 1 or 2 major generals on the Egyptian side, 1 or 3 on the Syrian side, and that was it. Some were taken prisoners. But in this latest war, what happened? Top leadership, you know? Leadership being eliminated in the first day of war. What is it? Harb al-Mubarrijin, war of programmers. You're sitting in your house and before you reach the situation room in the Ministry of Defense, pop, you are eliminated. What is this? And so the question is, as young people, where are we? And your future, when we will not be there, say in the next 20, 30, 40 years, is going to be a very difficult future. And this is where the idea of the survival of the fittest comes in. We must invest in education so that we become part of the Mubarrijin, part of the programmers. We must invest in health so that we can have a healthy generation that can think of big things, not about my futur, or my qada, this is small, my chapati, this is small things. It means we must secure food for ourselves, because it is also only in healthy bodies that we can have healthy minds. So this is it, and this is South Sudan within the context of global crisis and local crisis that we have in this region. It is crisis everywhere, all the way from Middle East to the Horn of Africa to the Sahel. It is crisis everywhere. How do we survive? A small country with limited capacity in a very difficult environment like this. Having laid that context, let me say a few specific things about this community called Lakes. Last time when we went here to lay to rest the late Professor Churiak, I made a passionate appeal to Governor Rinpin to begin to think aloud about the big gap that generation has left. You know them. One of our best constitutional law minds was Professor Akulda. All the Northern Sudanese in the University of Khartoum, in the Faculty of Law, would always want to be like him, to be good constitutional lawyers. Peter Nyutkok, Angbany, Mariala Wo. Who can I mention and who can I not mention? The space left by those guys in academia is so huge, and it would want massive resources and investment and leadership actually to direct those resources in the training and in the capacity building of young people from lakes with talents. That generation was educated by the government of Sudan. And that generation was educated by international goodwill. At the moment, that international goodwill is not there. How do we get resources? Out of this, young women and young men who have graduated from the University of Juba in this particular batch and batches before it, you have a number of them who can excel to that level. But where is money? Because education is money. You were complaining of fees that have not been cleared, right? For a number of you. What do you think it cost sending a few individuals, even here to Nairobi, let alone going to England or to America or to places like Canada and Australia? Educating people, educating a generation is not a joke. It needs massive investment. And so, it started locally. It started locally. And when it becomes a success story, you send these young people to some of good universities in the region, and if you have the capacity, send them abroad. And when they come back, take them all to Rumbek University. Don't let them go anywhere. And the news will begin to spread that something is happening in Lakes. The quality of teaching in Rumbek University is changing. And after all, Rumbek has been an old incubator for all the South Sudanese elites. Whether you're talking of people in Maduburat, you know, people like those of Joseph Lago, Rubol, and they all went to Rumbek. You're talking of those of John Garang and all the scientists, whoever, they all went to Rumbek. Rumbek has been our incubator, developing intellect for South Sudan. And so, it started. People will come. People will come and see what you're doing. And they will magnify it. Maybe somebody will develop it into a very good social policy program for the entire nation. Some of these are urgent and they have to start small. And you use that as a trigger for bigger things. I'm confident you're capable of doing those small initiatives. They are good for you, they are good for us as a nation. On educated women and marriage, I think most of you know the value of educated women. And Dr. Labanya here made it abundantly clear that what it means if you have an educated woman. In her own household, she was talking of a doctor, a physician, and a lawyer. If she was not what she is, that is not easy. So for you as young people who have graduated from university, go for your educated sisters. This is very important. I have so many friends from lakes, and I have seen this phenomenon of people coming from the university and then going back to the village to look for wives. They have boyfriends there. Don't disturb them. Leave them alone. Your women are here. And I would tell you a story. This was the late Uncle Elijah Malo. One of the boys related to him came from America looking for a wife. And then 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, no report. He was not reporting back about what he found. And so the old man became impatient and called him and asked him, what have you been doing? Any idea, any proposals? No, uncle. The girls are in the nightclub. Nightclub? They go to nightclub. They go to nightclub to make fun with whom? Manakegla nightclub and that there was no answer. And then finally the old man said, Modit, Yarguna to nightclub. So your women are in the nightclub because who introduced the nightclubs? It is these girls and yourselves who introduce the nightclubs. And so your women are in the nightclub. And the guys in the countryside, by the way, they have their own nightclub. Your nightclub again. I can't nightclub then. I create a nightclub again, job. When you go to a nightclub again. So, it is a fair game. I can young mother being done. Kulwel can a nightclub done, Kulwel get a nightclub by. Wait. I can't look Gornin can you? I'm not Gornin. You're Morgan. So, let us be honest. Nyali tabiwo pinomtan bugrut bandia ubu pinda buk pat. So there are scopes of happiness in life, and you have to look for those. You cannot build a relationship for 4 years of college education with a colleague and then you damn yourselves at the end of it. No, it doesn't work that way. So I want to encourage you, and some of young friends I have among you, if you come to me next day that you're trying to get married and you are leaving these girls, I'm not contributing my cow. That's important. I want more of women like Dr. Labanya. My own woman is so good because of education. Yagyo, ruan kier bro, liu, and chito, may ruan kier bro, and chabo, and jano, what wing, Yaglu to me. Kanan mom can Yaglu to me. It's because of an educated woman. So, this is important. This is important for all of you as young people. I want to conclude by thanking you again for inviting me. I want all of us to remember this day as a day that we have gathered here to reflect on one important issue: education and developing capacities of a human person. That's why we have gathered here tonight. We want to talk more about this topic because it is central to our development, it is central to our existence as people. I thank you very much for your listening, and whether I have invaded your private territories, that is in good faith. You are my children, and I want to give you the best of advice from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
So we are going to the end of our program. Thank you, dear listeners, and we actually thank
you so much,
Majak D'Agoot, for giving
Dr. Majak D'Agoot.
popular
You
advice.
really told us what the